are some signs then of emotional maturity? What are some signs? How would you know if a person's emotionally mature? He's right here in front of you. I'm joking about that, but in a sense, I'm not. My wife gave me the greatest gift I think I've ever gotten in our 37 years of marriage. Because remember, I told you when I got married, I was emotionally child, I was manipulative, I would sulk, I was whine, I was passive aggressive. It's the best I had because of the way I was raised. And you can't love maturely if you're not a mature person. Be what you are at the emotional level. And so I have worked hard over the years to become a healthy, mature adult. Now, am I perfect at it? The answer is no. But I'm much more mature than I used to be. And the great gift my wife gave me a couple of years was she called me up. I was going to the other side of town for a breakfast meeting October 2 years ago. And she said, you got a minute? And I said, yeah. She said, your goal, she said, I've been studying 1 Corinthians 13. Some of you may not know, but I'm also a minister. And she was saying that I've been studying 1 Corinthians 13. And if everybody knows, that's called the love chapter. Love is patient, love is kind, not rude. That's the love chapter. And she said, I'm going through that all week. And she said, your goal in life was to love me maturely, right? I went, yep. And she said, your goal was to be a mature man. I said, yes, because I couldn't love you maturely if I wasn't. And she said, you wanted to love us and the kids maturely. I said, yes, I did. And she said, I just want you to know you're that man. Did you get that? I just want you to know you are that man. I cried. I teared up. We were tears of joy, though. I said, Luell, thank you, because that's the man I've always wanted to be for you. Because I did not want to be a man that had not earned the right to come for you anymore. I wanted to be the guy that no matter what happened, you wanted me there. And we felt the bond, we felt the connection. But I had to grow up and be that person first. All right. So what are some signs of emotional maturity? So if you're taking some notes, or if you want to, here you go. Get out a pen and paper. Or if you're a millennial, I know, you get out your iPad or whatever. Here we go. Number 1, mature people are flexible. They're not rigid and they're not chaotic. They're flexible, though. All right. They recognize not everything's going to go according to plan. And when things don't go according to plan, they don't react in negative ways. They stay steady. They stay emotionally steady because they expect that life is going to be challenging at times. They expect that life isn't always going to go the way you think it should go. And sometimes your plans don't go as you think they should go. And so one of the hallmarks of mature people are they're very flexible. When things change, right? They're not bothered by it. They're not bothered. They just shift. That's all they do. There's goodwill and respect. So one of the signs of maturity is that mature people are flexible. All right. In other words, they don't live as if something bad happens, or if this plan changes, or if something doesn't go right, they understand it's when. It's just when. Things are going to happen, and when it does, not if it does, but when it does, then we'll deal with it. That's a powerful way to live life when you don't let circumstances dictate your reactions in life. So number 1 sign of emotional maturity is flexibility. Being married 37 years, I had plans, I've had ideas, I had things, and then I found out that it doesn't go the way I would hope it would because Luella has her own ways of doing things. In the early days, I would react to that. But you know what I found out? It isn't worth it. I just navigate around it. Number 2, emotionally mature people take ownership and responsibility. They own up to their mistakes and they don't immediately blame others. They own up to their mistakes. They recognize, hey, I will own my parts. I will take responsibility for the things that I'm responsible for. And I'm not going to immediately go reactive and blame other people. In order to do that, you have to be honest and you have to have self-honesty. That's right. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to be humble to admit that I made these choices so I can take responsibility for this, but I won't take responsibility for that. They take ownership and responsibility. They don't blame, shift it off to other people. Number 3 trait. This one is near and dear to my heart because I do a thing called Wheel of Knowledge. It's actually in chapter 1 of Relate Well. But emotionally mature people know that there's a lot of things they don't know that they don't know. In other words, they know they don't know everything, and they also know there's a lot of things they don't know. There are things that aren't even in their knowledge realm yet. And so one thing about mature people is because they know they don't know everything, they stay teachable. They stay open. They stay a student, you see, because in other words, they're not going to argue to win something when they could be wrong. They leave open the possibility. There's an old Jewish proverb that says, wise men accept rebuke. You go, well, why would wise men accept rebuke? They're wise. Because wise men know there's a lot of things they don't know. Because they know there's a lot of things they don't know. They stay teachable. One of the things I taught my kids early in their development, and kind of reinforced throughout the years was you always know mature people, they're teachable. You might learn something you didn't know. Number 4 trait or sign of emotional maturity. They look for learning and growth from every opportunity. Mature people recognize that you can learn and grow from all things that are happening around you. There's a lot of things we can learn from. An emotionally mature person is always on the lookout for something to learn new. Now, I read about 2 to 4 books a month. Some I read, that are on my Kindle or in my hand, and some are audio. All right. One thing I learned from my brother Don, who's probably at the highest level of emotional intelligence. No, he's not. Probably he is. And he's a C-suite level guy at a billion-dollar company. He's mentored over 150 men. But one of the things that he did early in his own development, he called it Mark's University. I remember years ago, he made a reference to Mark's University. What is Mark's University? Of course, that's our last name. He goes, well, I don't listen to music now. I listen to personal development tapes. I listen to Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill. He was listening to things that would help him develop his mind and his emotional self to develop himself personally so he could become a healthy, mature individual and become successful in life as that type of person. And so mature people look for growth in all things. In other words, if something bad happens or something doesn't go well, rather than getting upset about it, they'll ask the question, what can I learn from this? What is God wanting to teach me? What can I learn about what I did and what could I do different? That's maturity. Number 5, and this is very, very important. Emotionally mature people understand that their point of view is not the only point of view. In other words, it's just a perspective. But what they do is they understand that there are people who see things different than I do, and they seek out that wisdom. They seek out other people who have different perspectives from them. In the personal development world, I'm not real big into what are called accountability groups, only because people lie in them. And I'm not saying don't have accountability groups. But in the personal development field, there's a thing that's called a mastermind group. A mastermind group. A mastermind group is not an accountability group. A mastermind group is I understand that there are people who see the world differently than I do. They have strengths and thinkings that I don't have. And the mastermind group is the people I put around me who have strengths in other areas of thinking. And I go to them and get their input. I go to them and go, hey, here's what I'm thinking. What would you think? And they have parts of the brain that I don't possess. And in the mastermind group, I'm getting input. They don't tell me what to do, but I'm getting input. I'm getting information. Why? So I can make a wise decision. See, I think mature people seek wisdom. They ask, not is this right or wrong? Now here, this is going to be very, very important. So listen up. People ask me, Dr. Marks, is this a right decision? Do you have a right to do this? Would this be wrong? And I go, based on a perspective, some things could be right and wrong if you think about it. But I tell people, don't ask if this is right or wrong. Ask this question. Do you have the right to say that? Sure, you have the right to say it. It's a free world. Ask the question, is it wise to do that? What would wisdom dictate you do? That's a far better question than is it right or wrong? Because you could do something that's right, but highly unwise. When you begin to ask yourself, is it wise to do this? Wisdom makes you step back and think again, and 3 times. It makes you think about outcome, how you want to be, and the effects of what you're going to do on other people.